This video is to go over how to solve for sine of x plus 5 equals 7, which is on page 18. So first off, this looks pretty complicated, so we're going to make it simpler, which is the good thing to do. I'm going to put the hands on top of it so that it looks like 4 times something plus 5. I want to be happy, so I'm going to put the smiley mark, or maybe my finger. So I'm going to put F sticker, kind of imaginary F sticker on top of sine x so that I don't have to deal with it right now. So I get 4 times my F finger plus 5 equals 7. And I know how to solve this one. This is Algebra 1, 7th grade level problem. Subtract 5 from both sides. So we have 4f equals 2. Divide both sides by 4. We'll have f equals 2/4, which is the same as half. But this f is not really f, right? So I'm gonna peel that sticker off, and behind the f sticker, we'll have sine x, which was hidden. That should be a half. And just like 7th grade equations, we want to isolate x, and our goal is to make this equation look like x equals something. So in order to do that, we have to cancel out sine. In order to cancel out sine, we're going to multiply, or we're going to take the inverse of sine, which looks like sine to the negative first power. Just like we divide in order to undo multiplication or subtract or addition. So if you take the inverse of sine for the left side of the equation, we're going to do the same thing for the right side. Now, let's take the calculator. And you go to trig, take the inverse, and it's a half. Make sure to put the decimal points so that it gives me the answer. So that's 0.52 whatever. Okay. Now, the question is, oh, wait a minute. If we actually graph that, sine of x equals half. Or we can split this into 2 in order to graph it. So y equals sine of x, or y equals half. If you're talking about a circle, that's a unit circle, like that. And y equals a half is all the series of points that is a half. So this is 1 right there, and this is a half. And I take all the points that gives me a y coordinate is a half. So for example, if I take right here, that's going to be 1/2, right? And I get -1/2, I get 2/2, 3/2, or 1.5/2, 1.25/2. If I take those points and if I connect those points, I can draw a horizontal line. And we call the line y equals half. That's the name of that line. If you look at it, this line hits the edge of the circle twice. So the one answer, or the distance, or radian, is 0.52, which means that the distance from the starting point right there to the first intersection is 0.52. But since it hits twice, we should have another answer as well. How do we get the answer? Well, we know that if you kind of translate it, this is symmetric. So if I started out with -1.0 to the second intersection, the distance should be 0.52-ish. So we can do something about it. What do we know about pi? The radian pi, if I travel half half a circle or semicircle, the distance along the distance I travel is pi, which is 3.14. But the second intersection is 0.52 less than 3.14, so I should subtract that. So the distance I travel should be 2.62. So there should be two answers. X should be 0.52 or 2.62-ish. Okay? Let's look at the tough one. The tough one says 10 times 10 times sine squared x minus 3 sine x equals 4. Okay? By the way, sine to the second power x is the same as sine x squared. Okay? Now, what can we do with this? So we can actually write this with 10 times sine of x parentheses square minus 3 sine of x, and I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides, so that I should get negative 4 equals 0. And now I realize that, wait a minute, I can hide this sine x with some sticker. Maybe I should put the hands on, so the textbook on page 20 says we can put the hands on top of it, so we're going to use H sticker. So we have 10 times h squared minus 3 times h minus 4 equals 0. And if you remember how to factor this, that we did in, I believe, in Algebra 2 or maybe Algebra 1 or Algebra 2, what we can do with this is that we can multiply by 10 because that's the coefficient of the quadratic. So I'm going to multiply everything by 10. This by 10, negative 3 by 10, and negative 4 by 10, and negative 0 by 10. So I get 10 squared times h squared minus 3 times 10h minus 40 equals 0. And you'll see I didn't really do it out. I'm delaying the computation. Instead of putting 30h, I'm just put 3 times 10h, and you'll see why. And by the rule of exponential exponents, we have 10 squared h squares, which will be equal to 10 times h, parentheses, square, minus 3 times 10h minus 40 equals 0. By the way, we are multiplying everything by 10, but we are changing the question right now, the problem right now, by multiplying by 10. So we're going to have to divide by 10 at some point of the process of solving this equation. So 10h squared minus 3 times 10h minus 40 equals 10. So I'm going to put the smiley mark on right there, and right there is for the 10h. So I'll have smiley mark squared minus 3 times smiley mark minus 40 equals 0, and structure-wise it looks like x squared minus 3x minus 40 equals 0, which we know how to solve this one. Look for the number that add to negative 3 and multiply to negative 40, which is negative 8 and 5, so we can put x minus 5 times x plus 5 equals 0. But wait a minute, that x is actually a smiley mark, which is 10h. So I'm going to replace this x with 10h. So we have 10h minus 8, parentheses, 10h plus 5 equals 0. And then I'm going to pull out 2 from the left parentheses, doing distributive property backwards. 2 times 5h minus 4, and I'm going to pull out 5 from the right parentheses by doing using distributive property backwards. So 5 times 2h plus 1 equals 0. And I know 2 times 5 is 10, so I got 10 times 5h minus 4 times 2h plus 1 equals 0. And why am I doing this? Because at the beginning of this process, we multiply this equation by 10. Therefore, we have to divide it by 10. So this 10, I'm going to divide this by 10 to both sides. So we'll have 5h minus 4 times 2h plus 1 equals 0. And by zero product property, which means that whatever this is times whatever this is equals 0. That means either whatever this is or whatever this is must be 0. So I'm going to set that equation to be equal to 0. 2h plus 1 equals 0. Solving it, h equals 4/5 or negative half. Oh, wait a minute. What was h again? We put the h sticker on sine x. So really it's sine x equals 4/5 and sine x equals negative half. We gotta take the inverse of sine, which we'll do it here on the calculator. So let me figure out inverse of, what was it again? Oh, I gotta take the sine negative one here, inverse of sine here, and inverse of sine here, so that the left side right there, that cancel, kind of undo it, right? Cancel out. So we get x here should be equal to inverse of sine of 4/5, which we're gonna find it right there. That's undo it, so we're gonna have x equals to, and that's our goal. So sine inverse of 4/5. Make sure to put the decimal. That's 0.92 whatever. And also we're gonna have inverse of sine negative half. That's negative pi over 6, and I want that to be decimal. Oops, I shouldn't put the decimal next pi. I should put that to 6 right there. So it's negative 552. So x equals 0.927 and negative 0.5235, whatever. But what does this mean? What does this answer mean? X equals 0.927, whatever. What does this mean? These are the radians. In other words, the length traveled in the unit circle. So here's the unit circle starting from 1, 0. Right? For this equation, the distance we travel is 0.927. So maybe if I go from here to here, that's 3.14. So maybe it should be 1/3 of it, somewhere over here. 0.52. Negative will be, we're going negative, so this way. So maybe somewhere over here. So those are the 2 points.